Today on Hands On Photography, we're going to do a bit of a review about lighting, but we're going to also take a dive, just a little bit of a peek into the world of flash photography. I can't wait to talk about it. Stay tuned. Hands On Photography is brought to you from LastPass Studios. Access everything you need online simply and securely wherever you're logging in from. LastPass makes security for your digital life effortless. Visit lastpass.com/twit.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Hands On Photography is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your online privacy with one click. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/hop. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Pruitt. This is Hands On Photography here on TWiT TV. I hope y'all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. You have no idea how excited I am to be able to bring this content to you folks each and every Thursday here on the network. If this is your first time catching this show, go ahead and do me a favor and subscribe right now in your favorite podcatcher of choice so you can automatically get these loaded to your podcatcher each and every Thursday. You can find all of our subscription options on the website at twit.tv/hop. That's twit.tv/HOP for Hands On Photography. Thank you all so much. Find us on Apple Podcasts. Find us on Google Play and YouTube, whatever. All of those different podcast apps. We're on them. All right. So now let's go ahead and get started with this week's show. So this week, I want to talk about flash photography. This is going to be a bit of your introduction into flash photography. Now, if you go way back to episode 8, I talked about lighting and how lighting makes a difference inside of your photography. What type of light you use and where the light is placed, the angles of the lights and all of that good stuff. It does make a difference in photography. So now we're going to expand on that and we're going to get into flash photography, and we'll do a little bit of talk about some constant lighting, but maybe down the road in another episode, we'll talk about constant light options as well. But today with flash photography, I want to show off a couple of different devices and explain the differences between the devices that I have here at the desk. But why would you want to use flash photography? That's the first question. Flash photography is going to allow you to present light into your scene when you don't have light. Quite frankly, that's the most basic reasoning for doing so. You can be out, let's just think about it from the world of the smartphone, if you will. So let's say we're out having a good old time with our friends and family, and then let's say maybe we're at a bar, at a party or something, just having a great evening, and you want to take pictures, and you go to take that picture with your camera, and it just, it doesn't look good. It looks all grainy, and it's a little dark and not good at all. And that's typically because there's not enough light in your scene. So a lot of times people will try to use the flash on the back of the camera, on the back of the smartphone, to present more light into the scene. Most of the time it doesn't help because the flash on those smartphones are not very good. So when you're using whether it's your smartphone or any type of camera, sometimes you're going to need some additional light in the scene, and that could be natural lighting. But in this week's episode, it's going to be dealing with flash photography, flash lighting. So let's take a look at a couple different items. First, let's look at it from the smartphone standpoint. Right here, I talked about on a previous episode of Hands On Tech way back when at the end of 2019. And I mentioned having this little Lume Cube. This is the Lume Cube Air, and this is a small little light that I like to use from time to time, pretty much for any type of product photography that I've done, even if I'm using my DSLR or using my smartphone. This is designed to work with your smartphone because it does have Bluetooth capability. More so, it is a continuous light source. I turn it on and it's just a continuous light source, but the Lume Cube has designed it to give you a flash option as well. Let me see if I can show it to you a little bit more. They've decided to make it a bit of a flash option for you too if you're using a smartphone. And you connect it to your device with the Bluetooth and run the app, and the app will give you all of the different types of settings, from strobe to constant lighting, so on and so forth. See if I can get it in focus. There we go. Now the flash option on here, it's better than what you get on top of the regular smartphone flash because it's a better quality LED light. It's got a lot more power. My only concern with this as a flash is the actual duration of the flash. Because a lot of times when you're using flash photography, you want to not only fill the scene with light, but you're also trying to use that bright light and that really quick burst of light to freeze motion. So if you have someone standing there like an athlete or whatever, you want to be able to freeze the motion of that athlete. So that's going to be a combination of your shutter speed as well as a combination of how much light you have in the scene. So that is one option, and that is the Lume Cube. I don't know if they're available right now. A lot of people have been buying these things up. You can get them from roughly 70 to $100 depending on the type of model. We'll try to put some links in the description of this video just in case you're interested in getting your hands on a Lume Cube. Now let's step away from the smartphone side of things and get into the mirrorless and DSLR side of things. But before we do that, we're going to take a few minutes to thank this week's sponsor, the folks at ExpressVPN. This episode of Hands On Photography is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Incognito mode does not hide your activity even at home. That's why I never go online without using ExpressVPN. It's so easy and it's just one click. The app reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers. Your information is 100% encrypted and you won't realize it's on. So protect yourself with the VPN that I trust and use. Use my link at expressvpn.com/hop today and get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/hop. Again, visit expressvpn.com/hop to learn more. All right, so now let's take a look at flash photography from the standpoint of the actual DSLRs and mirrorless cameras that are out there. And that's when you want to talk about speed lights or on-camera flash. Now, this is a Godox TT600. That's a Godox Tango 600. This is what they call a speed light, and these typically mount on the top of your camera. Actually, let me just show you. I got a DSLR right behind me. Let me grab that. There. So now what you have here, this is just my old Canon Rebel DSLR that I still love and shoot with from time to time. And if I wanted to put this flash onto my camera, I just slide it at the top on what they call a hot shoe and just screw it down. And you'll see that it sits pretty easily and comfortably on the top of my camera. The beauty of having these speed lights, again, it's going to allow you to fill the scene that you're trying to shoot, but it also comes with some additional flexibility. Now, if you look at this speed light, you'll see that it has a couple different dialing options to change different settings. Let me get it in focus again. There we go. You can change the settings as far as how much power you want it to output. You can put it on certain wireless frequencies, different channels, just in case you have more than one that you're going to be using at the same time. And it gives you a lot of different flexibility. But what I love is this aspect of it. The head of it is movable. Okay. It has a movable head, and the top part of the flash has this extra bounce card to give you a little bit more control on where the flash is going to go. So in addition to having that bounce card, you can move this flash head up and down just like that into your scene. So a lot of times you'll see it on a photographer's camera, on top of their camera, and some would think that they should shoot it with the flash pointing directly at the subject. In most cases, you don't want to do that. So a lot of times you'll have the flash head just pointed up at a particular angle. And depending on the room, a lot of times it'll point straight up because they can get light to bounce off the ceiling of the room and create a much more flattering and soft light, filling up their scene and really amplifying the subject in the scene. Another beautiful thing about speedlights is the pricing on these. Now, again, this is a Godox Tango 600, and this one could be purchased for roughly $60 if they're available. Again, a lot of people are buying these things up now because people have more time on their hands to get into photography. Canon and Nikon and Sony, they all have their own proprietary brands for speedlights. I'm not going to say I'm going to buy one. I'm a Canon guy, but I have no desire to buy the $400, $500 Canon speedlights because I just don't see them doing anything much different or better than what these third-party brands are doing. So consider that when you're doing your shopping around. Photography can be really expensive, and you can take advantage of values like this here Godox TT600. But yeah, the next thing I wanted to talk about with this is not only do I have to have the ability to use it on top of the camera, I can use it off of the camera because it comes with little feet like this and 1/4-20 threads on the bottom where you can mount it onto a light stand similar to what's behind me right there. So I can mount it onto a light stand and use it off the camera and light up my subject from a certain angle, whether it's to the side or up top or low, what have you. And it just gives you a lot more flexibility and allows you to present the scene a certain way and give a certain mood, similar to how we talked about changing the light angles back on episode 8. Very, very cool. Now, lastly, since I pointed to this light stand behind me, that back there, that's called a studio strobe. That is another type of flash. You hear it called a studio strobe. You hear it called a monolight. But it's essentially the same thing as the speed light, but it's going to give you a lot more power. A speed light is going to have anywhere between 75 watts to maybe up to 130 watts of power. Flash strobes and studio strobes, they're going to be a lot bigger. They'll start out at the gate at about 200 watts. It can go up to, some of them are well over 1,000 watts of power. So with that, if you have more wattage, more power, you're going to get a brighter light, and you're going to also get a different amount of control of said light. But they come in a big difference form factor. So you have to consider, portability and power connections like this one here. This one here, this is another third-party brand, and it's not terribly expensive. I believe this particular model is roughly $120, $130, depends on when you look it up. But this is another Godox. I think this is the MS line. And you notice it has this big old bulb in the middle of it and also has a flash tube going around it. That flash tube is the actual part that flashes when you are working on the shot. See if I can show it to you here in this other screen. No, that's a little too blown out, so that's okay. We'll switch back. But that flash tube is what's actually firing off and flashing when you're seeing a studio session. The middle bulb in the middle, that's what they call a modeling light. And essentially that's just a constant light that you can turn on to make sure you're getting focused just right and things of that nature. Very, very nice device. Again, it's a lot bigger. The speed light versus the monolight versus the Lume Cube. 3 different lights, very, very different in capability and power, but they're all very, very useful here in this world of photography. Now, that's our introduction to flash photography. The next step is we're going to start taking some shots and showing some examples. So over the coming weeks, I'm going to set up a bit of a lab, if you will, and we're going to walk through using a speed light and using a monolight and seeing what it looks like to use them and how you would use them and the benefits and pros and cons and all of that good stuff. And hopefully it's going to help you out with your journey as you continue to get better at the world of photography. All right. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week. I thank you all for the tremendous support each and every week here at the network. Again, send over your questions and image critique requests to hop@twit.tv. I love getting those emails from you all. I also have another planned episode of viewer feedback, going through some of your images and your emails. And I also have something planned for some Instagram accounts that I just absolutely love. And they are awesome listeners and awesome fans here at TWiT TV. I really do appreciate it. All right. So folks, have yourselves a safe day, a safe weekend. Really do appreciate all the feedback. Make sure you're sharing this show out with everybody out there that's interested in the world of photography. And now safely get out there and create and dominate, and also be well and do well. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
Hey folks, I'm Micah Sargent, host of Hands on iOS right here on the TWiT network. If you've got iOS devices or watchOS devices or tvOS device, any kind of Apple mobile device, you are going to want to check out Hands on iOS. It is the best way to make the most of those devices. I walk through tips, tricks, and everything in between, plus answer your questions. So be sure to check it out. It's twit.tv/HOI.